Hello everyone and welcome to SARA TV. We're at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series for the Canadian Railserve 150. We're doing 150 laps here tonight for the super late models, where you will see the top iRacing super late model drivers do action around this high bank third of a mile bull ring. Before we get to tonight's action, we'll go back to last week, or excuse me, not last week because we were off last week. 2 weeks ago at Langley Speedway, where Jimmy Mullis came away with the, well, that's not, it wasn't there, excuse me, it was at Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, where Jim Caudell Jr. came away with the victory. He qualified in the top 10 here tonight, so he will be starting 10th due to the winter handicap rule, where they will start 10th as long as they qualify 10th. Starting on the pole here tonight will be Ty Spearman due to the 7-car invert. Fast time in qualifying was Bill Martin. He will be starting 7th. Like I said, Jim Caudell Jr. won last week, or 2 weeks ago at Myrtle Beach. I'm probably going to be messing that up a lot. And here we are this week coming into this track, where last night's action in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series saw some great racing around this track in the 2 sessions that were set up for that. So tonight there should be some really good racing with these guys. This group will widen out just a little bit, and they should be able to race side by side, but the fast way around here will be right around the bottom. But there will be a price to pay if you go too low, is if you clip the apron here, you will spin out. Like I said, the sponsor for tonight's race is Canadian Railserve, and it's the first time them hopping on board with us this year, so we appreciate them for coming on board and doing that here at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. The Canadian Railserve, if you're not too sure what that is provides locomotive leasing and maintenance services. So basically, if you choose Canadian Railserve as your locomotive leasing partner, it allows you to operate with confidence, and as a trusted provider of locomotive leasing and maintenance services, Canadian Railserve is able to meet your power requirements regardless of the size or duration of your operation. Go check them out on Facebook. They got some cool things going on there, some neat pictures of some locomotives. And if you know anyone that is in that type of industry, give them a shout out and let them know where you heard them at. And, you know, maybe they can get you hooked up with the deal. Now, we only have one pre-race interview here tonight, and that is with our series point leader and 3-time series three-time series champion, and Joe Schaefer Jr. We'll see if we can get him over here real quick to get a quick word with him. Joe, thanks for taking a quick moment of your time here to speak with us. You are the current points leader. There's 4 races left in the season. And Jimmy Mullis and Caudell Jr. are fast here of late, and I understand that this is your favorite track, so what can we expect out of you tonight?
Hopefully good things. Hopefully I'm talking to you in about an hour. It's like you said, it's one of my favorite tracks. We put in a lot of laps this week, so you know, I feel good. I'm not having some second thoughts here on what kind of gear I'm going to run, but it's nice to get, despite qualifying second, it's nice to get a 5th starting spot on the grid.
Yeah, you'll be starting on the inside, which is key here, especially early on. Now, if you were adminning in last night's race, so was there anything that you were able to pick up from last night's race that maybe you can transfer over for tonight?
Well, I mean, kind of. I'm sure the top groove will become preferred later on. Maybe not preferred in terms of turning the fastest lap times, but if you're not on the high side, you're just, you can defend, I should say. If you're on the high side, you can be slower, not get past if you can run up top. So, you know, it's all going to depend upon what happens with cautions and, you know, how much heat gets into the track. I've had plenty of success here just sticking to the bottom, and I plan to not vacate that if I can.
Well, we will definitely keep an eye on you here. Like I said, we got 4 races left in this season. We got 5 flags coming up next week. Well, we got tonight, and then 5 flags next week. Martinsville and Lanier. You're super solid. At least 2 of those tracks. Martinsville is always going to be a crapshoot. So we'll definitely keep an eye on you, and good luck to you here tonight, and maybe we will be talking to you in the next hour or so.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
All right, bud. That was Joe Schaefer Jr., and he is starting 5th here tonight. So, you know, like I said, he's got the inside line, and we'll definitely keep an eye on for him. Now, also, Jimmy Mullis, who we were just speaking of, he's currently fastest on the practice charts by a little bit, so he got in here on the track probably pretty quick. Jim Caudell Jr. 7th, and Joe Schaefer Jr. is 19th now. He only turned like a lap or two, so he's probably just checking his gearing out as he stated, and he's kind of caught in between rock and a hard place on that. So I can't tell him yay or nay on which way he should go with it, because it really depends on your setup and everything. But we'll see if he ends up choosing the right one. We'll go ahead and pull up the standings. That way you can see the points and how far back everyone is. Like I said, currently leading the way is Joe Schaefer Jr., but don't look now, as Jim Caudell Jr. and Jimmy Mullis have reeled him in little by little each week, as these guys are trading wins each week. And but Joe's been running behind them, and he even picked up a win himself. So these are the big three. You've seen the big three in NASCAR here lately with Busch, Truex, and Harvick. This is our big three currently this year. You have Joe Schaefer Jr., Jim Caudell Jr., and Jimmy Mullis. These three guys seem like they've been running in the top three week in and week out. So if you beat them, you're definitely doing something. You got Cameron Hamilton in 4th, and the old Wally Vent, who's pulled himself way up into the top 5. He was in rare form last night on TeamSpeak. We'll see how he does here tonight. See if he's able to back up some of that talk he was talking last night. In 6th is our series and league admin, and Matt Rolfe. 7th is Keith Melrose, who picked up the win last night in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series here. So we'll see how strong he is here tonight against the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series and these top guys. Trevor Edwards is 8th. David Kikorian is 9th, and rounding out your top 10 is Brandon Wilkinson. Now these guys are going through and getting their last final through practice laps in, and we'll be getting this show started here before too long. We'll go ahead and bring up the series sponsors and go give everyone a shout out while these guys are going around here and getting their final laps in. You got the Sim Marketing Solutions, like I say, who sponsors tonight's series. Davis Chassis Works, who sponsors the Wednesday night series, which anyone can sign up. If you go to RaceSARA.com or Sim Auto Racing Association on Facebook, you can sign up to race in that series. The tonight's series is invite only, so if you do well enough in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, you can get the invite to run in this series here that you're watching tonight. You got Hides, Pride, Leather, and Sheepskin. Midwest Power Source Inc., Callaway Investments, who sponsors our Tuesday night Sportsman series for the street stocks. Race1.us, Canadian Railserve, who's a sponsor here tonight. The Hub used sim racing giveaways. Go check them out on Facebook. They give away used sim racing products like wheels and pedals and so forth. Loco Toco Designs, there's many of those paint schemes out here tonight. Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and East-West Modifieds. And it looks like that the series admin has advanced the session, so we will be getting the cars gridded up here, and we'll go through the grid, show you the lineup. Like I stated, due to the 7-car invert, Ty Spearman will be your pole sitter here tonight, and outside of him is last year's series champion and currently third in points, Jimmy Mullis. DK David Kikorian starting 3rd. 4th is Ryan Matthews. 5th is the series point leader is Joe Schaefer Jr. 6th is his teammate on the outside of him, Bill Martin. Starting 7th is Tyler Price. 8th is Russell Charniski. 9th is Cameron Hamilton. And round out your top 10, who won 2 weeks ago, was Jim Caudell Jr. Starting 11th is Brandon Wilkinson. On the outside of him is Trevor Edwards. 13th is Car 13 and Samuel Roush. 14th is Keith Medeiros. 15th is Chris Canfield. 16th, Donald Clark. 17th, Car 17, A.J. Rogers. Starting 18th is Michael Goddard. 19th, Matt Rolfe. 20th, Adam Jocelyn. 21st, Jared Boris. 22nd, Russell Berry. 23rd, Mark Royer. 24th, Ryan Doucette. And last but certainly not least is Tim Bills. That rounds out your field for here tonight. As you're going to see some great racing here, especially early on. The control will be on Ty Spearman. Basically, once the pace car gets all 4 tires off the racing surface, he can take off whenever he pleases until the lights go green. Now, early on, you won't have to worry about wheel spin here too much. But as these green laps go and the tires fade away, you have to worry about some wheel spin. Experienced that last night myself and seen some other guys as well. But we'll wait for that to happen as the pace car is off and we are green, green, green. It looks like maybe even Spearman spun his tires a little bit if he started out in second gear. These guys are side by side for the lead. The back of the field's trying to get everything figured out there. Everyone's going away nice and clean. Give the lead to Jimmy Moss there on that first lap, leading the first lap there on the outside. Spearman gets it going. It looks like Mullis got a little tight out of two. DK's going to try to fill in the spot behind him. Now DK and Jimmy Mullis are side by side. As Spearman led that lap, you got Ryan Matthews and Joe Schaefer Jr. side by side in the second row. As Tyler Price is going to round out your top 6 guys. And if you're Jimmy Mullis, you're probably going to be trying to not abuse it too much here. Maybe you can try to fall in line where you can get down low. Joe's not going to let him in. Don't blame him. These two guys are fighting for points. You got to get everything that you can get. And get it now as track position will become key here later on in the race, as it is extremely difficult to get around someone, especially with the lack of forward drive in these cars of late. Schaefer's going to get that spot. Now Matthews is going to try to work over Jimmy Mullis and get by him for 4th place. Tyler Price is going to look low now. Unfortunately right now, no pun intended, but Jimmy Mullis is on the Canadian Railserve choo-choo train. He's going backwards. Now Price is going to fill that spot as they go down into 3 and 4. These laps click away pretty quick, 14 seconds apiece. Bill Martin's going to try to fall in there. Haven't seen him too much lately. Good seeing back out here. Mullis is back to 6th. Here in a couple of laps, if Price can get around him, he may be back to 7th or 8th, as Jim Caudill Jr. has made up a couple of spots already, up to 8th place there. Not missing anything up front, as the first 4 guys are just nose to tail, logging some laps. Mullis is hanging on pretty good on the outside here, especially early on, as him and Bill Martin now are side by side. But I can tell you right now, he probably wants to be down low. Joe Schaefer Jr. is now getting around David Krikorian for 2nd, so you got Posse 1-2. We spoke to Joe Schaefer Jr. just not too long ago, and he really likes this place. He's always ran well here, and he's going to be one to watch. I know he's logged a ton of laps, and the good thing he got those done before he was occupied on Tuesday night. Back to Jimmy Mullis here once more. Oh, Joe got loose. What happened to Joe Schaefer Jr. there? Looks like he may have, if I caught it out of the corner of my eye, that he started spinning. We'll go back to the SARA TV instant replay to see what happened. If I had to guess, he probably clipped the apron out of 2, and that's what I spoke to prior to the race. You got to watch the apron because it will loop these cars around extremely quick. And, ooh, maybe checked up and DK got into the back of him a little bit. Tough sledding there for Joe Schaefer Jr. He's back to 22nd. We'll see if David Krikorian claims that, or if it was just a racing deal where Joe had to check up and, you know, these guys are running pretty tight and DK just got into him. And if you're Jimmy Mullis and Jim Caudill, this is exactly what you want to see. It's the point leader spinning in front of you. Now, Joe kept it off the wall and everything, so he should be okay. He's plenty fast. He'll make his way back up through the front. I can guarantee you that. But he may have to use up his stuff to get there. As Jimmy Mullis and Jim Caudill Jr. are 6th and 7th currently. We'll see if DK ends up claiming this or not. Basically, when I'm speaking of claiming, if you have not been with us before here at the Sim Auto Racing Association for the Super Late Model Series, or any of the series across the SARA, if you do cause a caution, it's highly recommended that you claim that caution. You'll get an EOL, and David Krikorian's not going to take that one, but you're going to get an EOL, and for claiming it. And if you do not, and the race admins deemed that it was your fault post-race, you'll get an EOL post-race and put you at the end of the longest line, wherever you may be on the lead lap or one lap down or what have you. So he's not going to claim it. Spearman's going to lead us back to the green here, see if he learned his lesson from the first restart. He gets a decent restart, so is Ryan Matthews. As it goes side by side back down into 1 and 2, everyone's double foul. David Krikorian gets loose out of 2. These guys got a handful right now. It's hard to get these things turned and also get the drive off. There's a compromise you're going to have here. And we'll see who ends up making the right one, as Ryan Matthews is really holding his own here on the outside currently. And he's going to have the lead coming out of 4. New leader, 51 car, Ryan Matthews. See him go back down low. Ty Spearman. Spearman's going to just fall in behind Matthews, trying to save his stuff as much as he can, I'm sure. Now David Krikorian's right there behind Spearman. Tyler Price is on the outside of him. Here's Bill Martin once more. This is the type of racing you're going to see here all night. As Bill Martin gets into David Krikorian, let's see if he saves it. Great save as he just punted the cone across the track. No caution. Everyone checks up and does their part to make sure that the wreck didn't continue on or more people didn't get involved in it. So kudos to these drivers for doing that as the caution does finally come out. Looks like Bill Martin got into the back of David Krikorian there and almost spun him around. Hell of a save there by David Krikorian, showing his dirt experience and saving that machine. Not too sure what the caution came out for. Could have been for that cone that they punted up into the stands. Probably murked one of those. Nope, maybe not. Who knows? No backstretch stands. Their second caution here of the night. Both of them dealing with the front runners. First one was Joe Schaefer Jr. getting a little love tap from DK, and then the other one was a little love tap from Bill Martin to DK. I'm sure Bill did not mean to get into him there. It's typically not how Bill runs. Might have been the 77 car of Ryan Doucette as he's going down pit road. He's got some front end damage, so it could have been a little self-spin deal there with Ryan. And he's going to go down pit road and get his car fixed up, see if he can keep from going a lap down. He's going to get out in time. So not too sure what happened on that incident. We'll go ahead and get them double back up here. I believe they'll get the one to go signal. Yes, they do. So we'll go ahead and get them doubled back up. Restart will be on Ryan Matthews. We'll see what kind of restart he gets here down low. Spearman the first time spun his tires, looked like. Second time, to prevent that, he didn't get off to the greatest start. Matthews was able to get her going. So we'll see if the roles are reversed. They're coming back to green. We're on lap 27 of 150. Seen some lead changes and some bump and runs going as Matthews go ahead and get the green. He gets a great start. Looked like it was a dirt style restart as he shot that thing down the track to get it going the right direction. Spearman's going the wrong direction as Tyler Price takes over second, and it's Cameron Hamilton in third. Spearman's going to fight back on the outside as they come off turn 4. We got another caution as it looks like Mark Royer got caught up in that. Go back here to the SARA TV instant replay, see what happened here. We're watching AJ Rogers as he goes down into 1. Coming down the back. Oh, and looks like Russell and AJ. Oh, and Joe Schaefer Jr. gets some damage on that as well in his left front. You see Matt Rolfe coming in there. Admins will have to review that for ARCA break-in on their own admin. But Daryl Hamlin may end up getting the penalty for that one too. The A.J. Rogers with another bad luck here. His bad luck continues and getting caught up in other people's garbage. But looks like the Chris Canfield and Russell Karnitsky got into it in 1 and 2. And it's really easy to get into the rear end of people here, especially if your car is rolling through the center better than other cars, or someone has to check up in front of you. So it's just, short track racing deal. We have a couple of cautions here early on, and hopefully these guys can get it settled down there just a little bit so we can get some green flag action. You can see what these guys are really all about. Now, the week off, some of these guys are pretty antsy to get back out here. These past few races, if you've been with us, you've seen heck of a battles go on, and long green flag runs at that. So these guys will get it together, get the field spread out just a little bit, and as we get to one to go, see if Ryan Matthews will do the same thing he did last time, as he'll start up to about where he is right now and just point that car down to the bottom and shoot straight off the turn. You don't see that too much in late model or pavement action. You see that a lot in dirt, so we'll see what he does here. Pace car's going to pull off. Sort of the same thing, not as exaggerated though, as he's going to go ahead and get a good run. They're going to come up on Mark Royer, who was in the pits and got caught up in that wreck. It's going to be extremely interesting to see this big group of cars catch this lap down car this early on in a run. These leaders may not have too big of an issue, as the first 3 or 4 is now single file, but once this big group behind them, as Royer smacks it off the wall down the backstretch, looking in his mirror, look forward, Mark, go, go, go. He's going to stay up high here, which is all dandy in the middle of the turn. As soon as they come out there straight, it's going to stack them up just a little bit. Maybe not this time, but in a couple more laps. As he's doing the right thing, staying up high as Davis Chassis Works Dodge Challenger. Currently first is Ryan Matthews, second Cameron Hamilton, third's Tyler Price, fourth is the guy who's in second place in points, and Jim Caudill Jr. started 10th here tonight. He's already up to 4th. Around your top 5 is Bill Martin. Go a little bit further back in the pack here to Tim Bills. Him and Samuel Roush are side by side. There's Keith Penrose just right in front of him. He won last night in the Contender Series. And I was racing there with Keith, and he was extremely strong late in the run. It looks like Joe Schaefer Jr. and Chris Canfield were having a little disagreement on real estate. Schaefer go ahead and gets around him. You can see he's got a little damage on the left front. Don't know if that hurt his toe or not there on the left front, as Mullis is just behind them as well. So some of our series point leaders are having a rough night here on this third of a mile bull ring. Joe's up to 14th, Mullis is 16th. Like I said, the guy in second place in points is up to 4th. So this could be potentially a huge night for Jim Caudill Jr. and his championship hopes. Still got a long race to go. We're almost a third of the way through as we're working lap 42, going to 43 of 150. Apparently Ryan Matthews is pulling away a little bit on Cameron Hamilton. Right now these guys are single file. Chris Canfield and Russell Charnitsky, who got into it just not too long ago, already around each other once more. There's Ryan Doucette, who went down and got his damage fixed. AJ Rogers. Guys are battling side by side. Go back up here to Joe Schaefer Jr. real quick. He's working on the outside of Donald Clark. He's really, Trevor Edwards up there, it looks like he's working the outside as well. They're about the only 2 cars that I can see from my vantage point that's really trying to work that top side and making it work. Bierman's trying to venture up there, but he's got a big gap between the front of him and back of him, so he's able to do it to see what's up there. As Schaefer Jr. gets around, Donald Clark sets his sights on Samuel Roush. You got Jim Caudill Jr. and Bill Martin up here side by side. Martin's done moved up to the top side. Posse's talking to each other in TeamSpeak, letting each other know that there's something there. Caudill's going to go up there and block his line. Martin's going to drive off the bottom, maybe try to get him down low. These guys are side by side for 4th. Meanwhile, they're running down Tyler Price just a little bit. Cameron Hamilton up to 2nd. He's moved up as well. So these guys are starting to move up. But based off my experience from last night, there's something there on the entry of it. Unless your car is just that much better, there's not much off. You can make it work on the entry and really diamond the corner to get a good drive off, but keeping that drive from up top and just rolling the top is extremely difficult to do. You have to have a really good car to do it, because we have a really good battle for the lead currently. Cameron Hamilton's working the bottom. He's showing the nose. There, nose to tail, back down into 1 and 2. Coming back down the front stretch, Ryan Matthews starting to pull a little bit gap. Jim Caudell Jr. is up to 3rd now. Worked his way around Tyler Price fairly easy. Now currently the posse members there from Ty Spearman and Bill Martin are running 4th or 5th and 6th. And Spearman gets around Martin. Martin looks loose as hell. And that's what Cameron Hamilton needs to do right there. He needs to roll the top there. If he can cut it down just like that, he's going to have a nice little run. He's going to do a crossover, show his nose. Matthews shuts the door. That may work here early on, as we're just past the 3rd of the way through this, but later in the race, that nose is going to get shoved up in there. Don't look now, but Jim Caudell Jr. is catching the leaders. And pretty much he's doing what I was doing last night, rolling the top on the entry. He gets to the center, let that thing roll down to the bottom and shoot it straight off. And he's making some time, as he's about 1.5 tenths faster than our leaders. Leaders catching Mark Royer here again. He'll move up for him, surely. David Krikorian's worked his way back up to 6th after that little run in with Bill Martin and saved it. And Joe Schaefer Jr. is about to work his way back up into the top 10. Dewey Mullis is right there in 13th. So the guys that had trouble here early on are trying to work their way back up to the top 10. Meanwhile, the guy 2nd place in points is running down our leaders. Your Cameron Hamilton, you may not want to mess around too much longer with Matthews if you think you have anything to win here tonight. Caudell gets out front. He may not look back. You got a 3-horse race here for the lead. Front 2 leaders are running about the same line. Hamilton's running a little bit lower off. I really like the line that Jim Caudell Jr. is running right now. I mean, it's just, the car looks really good for one, but he's just getting extremely, he's able to pick up the throttle just a little bit earlier, carry a little bit more speed down the back and front straightaway. Royer's going to pull it down to the inside. He almost slipped up in front of the leaders there. Calls Matthews to check up, which Hamilton got into the rear of him. It's going to bring Caudell Jr. in just a little bit more. Hamilton gets into the back end of Matthews once more. This is what I was stating earlier. It's extremely hard to pass here outside of moving someone. These guys pull away here from Jim Caudell just a little bit. As more and more guys start running the top side, that top side's going to go away. Hamilton's going to show the nose. Matthews shuts the door a little bit once more. Hamilton showing some great patience here. There's patience going to be wearing thin. Probably already thinks that Matthews owes him 1 or 2. Too many more of those, and Matthews is going to have to call the body shop repair number on the back of his car. Hamilton's going to move up the track about a lane or so and just loses it. So the broad view of things here so far is that the more guys that are running up top, the more it's wearing out that top line. The bottom line is going to come back in. Same thing that happened here last night. Guys move up a little bit, topside works for a little bit, and that bottom comes back in. So if you're Matthews, you're going to make them pass you the hard way. That's around the top, and there's not too many cars that can do that. Now David Krikorian's in 5th place here, and he's ran down these guys. As Hamilton's going to get under him, they're side by side here now. Matthews slips up just a little bit. They're gonna be side by side here once again. We'll see how well Matthews' cars works up top. As Caudell Jr. is going to follow the guy that ends up getting around here. But if you're Jim Caudell, you're just going to follow Cameron Hamilton. Matthews still holds strong on the outside. That's how he got the lead originally. It was around Ty Spearman on the outside. And he's just going to fall in behind these two, which isn't a terrible choice as we're coming up on halfway here in just a few laps. Just go ahead and ride. Caution comes out, you're back down to the inside once more. We got a new leader in the 10 car in Cameron Hamilton. And like I stated, David Krikorian, he's on a run here. He's ran down these leaders pretty good as his teammate Tim Bills is following suit. So the Will and Dillon guys have found some speed here tonight as David Krikorian's going to look under Tyler Price as they go into one. You know, and Krikorian went for that long slide there into 1 and 2. Really thought he may have done some damage to his tires, but apparently not. Didn't hurt him too bad. Luckily enough, the caution came out shortly after that, and he was able to cool him back down. We'll see what he has here for the leaders, as he's the only guy in the 14-second bracket. Him and Ryan Doucette. Ryan put up a hell of a lap there, but DK was at a 14.98. The leaders were in the 15 flats, so he's just a little bit faster. Jimmy Mullis has worked his way up into the top 10 as he's 9th now. Joe Schaefer Jr. is now in 10th as well. You got our point leaders are trying to make up some ground here that they lost early on. All the meanwhile, we got second place in points, currently P2 in the standings. Looking for another win this year and closing that gap as we're coming down to the final few races of the year. Jimmy Mullis and Trevor Edwards are currently side by side here. Mullis got a little left front damage on his JDR graphics. Camaro. They're catching Ty Spearman. Both of them are. Looks like Spearman's just a little bit tight. And oh, there's a little contact there with Mullis, and he came upon Spearman there faster than he thought he would have. And him and Edwards comes, they get together going into 3. Good save by Mullis. Now it's Mullis and Joe Schaefer Jr. Jr.'s going to, you know, he sees blood and water. He's going to try to get around him here pretty quick. Mullis is probably going to have to watch his tires as he slid them a little bit, and it's got a little heat in him. As he looks a little bit loose there into 3. Now Trevor Edwards is going to try to work his way around Ty Spearman. They're side by side down into 3 and 4. Meanwhile, David Krikorian's caught your leaders. He's still slowly but surely faster than the leaders. Tim Bills is the only other guy that's faster than him, and it's his teammate. As Tim Bills is trying to get around Tyler Price here now. He's in the top 5. These Will and Dillon guys have got something figured out here at Southern National Motorsports Park as David Krikorian's going to show a nose on Matthews. Matthews shuts the door there on him. David Krikorian's going to look on the high side. Extremely loose out of 4. Probably won't do that again. As these leaders are going to be coming up to lap down traffic, a lot of lap down traffic. Well, let's see how they navigate them. Because right now these guys are, you know, having their own race up here. Joe Schaefer Jr. is now trying to work his way around 7th place, and Trevor Edwards as they're side by side getting into 3 and 4. You got Jimmy Mullis, who's just back behind these two guys now. We'll see what Mullis does, as him and Edwards had some contact and sent Mullis shooting down to the inside wall, getting into threes. They had a little disagreement getting into one prior to that. Joe Schaefer Jr. is going to finally get around Edwards here, it looks like, as they're going to come out of two. Not yet. Almost has him cleared. Finally has him cleared there as he's up to P7. Now Mullis and Edwards are side by side. Keep an eye on these two guys. Like I said, they had a little disagreement there coming out of two about 10 laps ago. Mullis finally gets around, Edwards gets loose. That was a short-lived rivalry there. Now Mullis has worked his way up to 8th. Joe Schaefer Jr. 7th. Jim Caudell Jr. missed that one, but he ended up taking the lead over Cameron Hamilton. Got a new leader, number 1 car, Jim Caudell Jr. He said he's been fast lately. Currently a new P3 as well as David Krikorian. We'll see how long it takes Krikorian to get around Hamilton, as he's been fast. Tim Bills is catching these guys here as well. Just now getting into your picture there in the H&H signed Chevrolet Camaro. So in weeks prior, it's been Jim Caudell Jr. and Jimmy Mullis show. Joe Schaefer Jr. showed up there a little bit as well. It looks like right now these Will and Dillon guys have figured something out, at least for this week here in this high-banked bull ring. They've made their way up to the front, and they've been running down these leaders. As David Krikorian's now looking under Cameron Hamilton as they get into 1 and 2. DK's there down the apron. Got to be careful with that. We got a move and pick here with A.J. Rogers. Cameron Hamilton deals with him pretty good as he goes down into the turn. Made it stick. Looks like Hamilton drove it in there pretty deep into 3. He's making it work here a little bit, but if persistence and patience pays off here for DK, he should have P2 here in the next few laps. Yeah, as he's coming in here, he's making his way in. Well, Cameron Hamilton still trying to battle here on the outside. Yeah, DK is he's slowly working him over, and oddly enough, Jim Caudell Jr. isn't pulling away too much. And there goes DK, finally getting around him as Jim Caudell Jr. is going to catch up to Jared Boris here as they get into 3. And I don't think it'll be too long before DK gets on the rear bumper of Jim Caudell Jr. And unfortunately, we have someone up here in the booth with us. This man started on the pole here tonight. Ty Spearman. Ty, I hate to be talking to you here right now this way, rather be talking to you after the race. But what happened with you here tonight, and why are you up here with us?
Well, my saying is, if you're not having any fun, leave. So that's what I did.
Well, all right. What was, to me, we were on you there a few times. It looked like your car was just tight to me, but what was going on with it?
Yeah, it was tight at the center and loose off. And, I mean, it was just not to my liking, just not at all.
Well, it's unfortunate for, that you're not out there, but it's fortunate for us that you're up here. You can help us call this race as we're looking at David Krikorian, and he's – he had that little slide there when Bill Martin got into the rear end of him there. And, he's made his way back up to second place, and he's been the fastest car on the racetrack, him and his teammate Tim Bills. So, Caudell's been fast here in the past few weeks, and it looks like we got a new player up here for the lead.
Yeah, DK's car looked really, really good. Honestly, he was making moves on top and on the bottom. So, his car is good, and so is Tim's. So, I look for both of them to really challenge for the lead very, very soon.
Yeah, well, the lap times go by pretty quick here as we're at 15 seconds. Some of them are clicking off in the 14-second bracket every now and then. And we're on lap 108, 109 now of 150, so he can't fool around here too much because Jim Caudell Jr., as he's proven so far this year, he's been extremely fast. Joe Schaefer Jr. and Jimmy Mullis are back here trying to work their way back up into the top 5, but Caudell Jr., you probably aren't going to try to do anything too crazy as you're closing in the points lead here, but come away with the win will definitely help his cause in doing that. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to hold on to it as David Krikorian got loose there into 3. He's going to lose some time here now. Lost about a couple of tenths there on that last, almost a half second there on that lap. So as I stated, he needs to get in gear before time runs out.
Yeah, you have to be so patient with the throttle with the 120 million horsepower that we're trying to put down. That iRacing gave us. So, I mean, honestly, you really can't get back on the throttle until you're straight, and even at that, it's questionable.
Yeah, last night, for myself, that's where I struggled with, but I was tight. So that doesn't help the cause with these things at all when you got any wheel put into them with being able to spin the tires at wheel up off, especially late in these races here. But David Krikorian, he's still right there in the ballpark with Caudell as far as lap time. Now, Caudell's catching up to some lap down cars, and these cars aren't necessarily slow. You got Samuel Roush, Chris Canfield, and Michael Goddard, who, if I'm not mistaken, won last night in the Contender Series. So he's coming up on these guys, and he's going to have to figure out which way he's going to go to get around them. And if you're David Krikorian, or even Tim Bills, who's starting to reel these guys in a little bit, you kind of hope he catches this traffic so you can catch up to him.
Yeah, we saw lap cars into play last night. I know in the Contender Series that I was adminning, they did play a role, most definitely.
Yeah, you can definitely catch them in bad spots here as you almost need the whole track to really get the good drive off and work your way up to the wall coming out of the turn. But we can see what these guys are going to do. They can be a rolling roadblock at times. The turns are way wide, and the straightaways are pretty narrow. So we'll see what they end up doing. They're not going to move over because these guys are racing for position. So, these guys have their own race that they have to contend with. Just because the leader's catching up to them doesn't mean they're just going to pull over for you. As we see, Roush is trying to get around Michael Goddard now. So if these guys are running side by side, if you're Jim Caudell Jr., you just have to sit back and be patient just a little bit, as you do have a little bit of a gap, almost a second now, over David Krikorian. But he can be just a little bit patient, but he can't wait too long before DK gets up to his rear bumper. So if you're Caudell in this instance, Ty, which way you're going to go? You're going to go low, or you're going to go high?
I think they'll give him the. Even though he's running high, that's his preferred line. Honestly, I expect the cars to move high, so he's going to have to probably put it on the bottom.
Well, we'll see what he does here. We'll go on board with Jim Caudell Jr. and we'll see what he does. See which way he ends up choosing. As you see Canfield go way up top, so classy move by them as he's racing with Roush and them right here. So good move by him. And if you're Caudell, that's exactly what you want to see as these guys move over. Like I said, it's not their prerogative to do so. But you see him running about a lane higher. If you're listening to the throttle input, he's being pretty delicate with it. And what you don't want to see is, if you're the leader, is these guys get into it or a wreck happening because you have nowhere to go here. And this is a self-cleaning racetrack, so they will shoot back down the track with no issue at all. And right now he's still maintaining his lead, but now he's got to work the bottom, which he hasn't been for quite a while. So we'll see what how his car reacts and if he's able to get around these guys. Looks like he's going to make short work of Samuel Roush. Roush is hanging pretty tough there on the outside, and this is DK's not really closing in as much as I thought he would have. He's pulled it in about 1/10 and a half here so far, but looks like Caudell's going to finally get around both these guys at once. Now it's up to DK to get around him pretty quick as these guys are side by side now, because like I said, they're battling for position.
Yeah, I think even if DK were to catch him, it's so impossible to pass. He would probably, even if he was, honestly, if he was 1/10 better, then then Cottle, he's not going to be able to get by him because again, you can't pass, you can't get the power down to be able to make a move off the corner. So, I mean, I would be surprised if he could do it.
Yeah, I know last night, I believe it was Medeiros and Sorensen. Evan Sorensen had a good little battle, and Medeiros was faster than Sorensen, and he couldn't work his way around him. It took him forever to finally do it, I believe, in which we're running out of time as we're at 20 to go. And, you know, DK's, it's pretty much maintained at 9/10 of a second here. So, you know, he had that big slide there early on in the race, and he kind of used the stuff up to get back up here, and I think he might be pretty much out of tire at this point. And it's going to have to be a mistake-free deal on his part and definitely on Jim Caudell Jr.'s part. But if we get a late race caution, we know how wheel spin is here. It looked like that you may have fought that there on a couple of restarts as well.
Yeah, I mean, ever since the new build, I can't restart. So, I mean, all of us are basically starting in third gear, and I still can't get the power down. So, yeah, it hurt me tonight as well. So.
Well, if we get a late race caution, we'll see what ends up happening there. I know Matthews had a pretty clever fix to that issue, as he was pretty much doing like a dirt-style restart where he would be up about a lane or so, and then just point that thing down straight down the track and try to use the banking to help him get that good drive. As Tim Bills is now caught up to David Krikorian, and it may be the other Wheeling and Dillon teammate that ends up getting around Jim Caudell if he's able to do anything. He's got 15 to go. I don't know if he has enough time to really make up 1.5 seconds. I mean, he's going to need a 10th a lap, and he's not that fast. So it's going to be a late race caution, or this is going to be Jim Caudell Jr.'s to win or to lose, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, and what's surprising is, you know, DK is one of the first people to actually start, you know, to try the top side. And he hasn't done it all race. I mean, I've seen him do it a few times, but usually when the top comes in, he'll stay up there. So it's surprising that he's been on the bottom for the majority of the race.
Yeah. You know, I guess it's just how his car is. I think it's before he came up here with us, we were watching him, and he came off 4, and he was on the high side, and he about looped that thing about 3 times. So it may have scared him off from going back up there. And I know from last night's race, it's, you know, your car, if it was the least bit loose, the top side actually didn't help out much at all. We may have to ask him that after the race here. They've reeled him in just a little bit. They're going to reel him in a lot. It's coming to 10 to go here in the Canadian Railserve 150 at Southern National Motorsports Park. You see Jim Caudell Jr. pretty much run the show as he's taken the lead. Started third here tonight. Or I'm sorry, it's the David Krikorian started third here tonight. And Jim Caudell Jr., he's led 50 laps, so he's led a third of the race. Got the second is getting smaller as it's down to 0.8 of a second. But like you said, catching him's one thing, getting around him's a whole completely different thing. And David Krikorian's one of the cleanest drivers that we race with out here. And you know, I doubt him very seriously. He puts the bumper to him if he catches him. As they're at 9 to go, coming 8 to go. They'll probably be catching his lap down traffic here once more as well, but if I know who they're catching, they'll just move out of the way for them, as it's Russell Berry and Ryan Doucette probably be the only 2 cars that they catch. We're at 7 to go. And now that gap's maintained at about 8.5 tenths.
Yeah, Jim's just been real smooth. He's ran that same line. I mean, honestly, since he went up there, that's where he stayed. And he's been extremely consistent. I mean, his lap times are amazingly consistent.
Yeah, he's on a rail right now. And I could use another pun for our sponsorship tonight, but I'll leave it just to the one that I had earlier. But yeah, as you stated, I mean, he's been about a 0.5 tenth or so off from his lap each lap, which to me is extremely consistent. But they brought it down here to 3/4 of a tenth, as they're about a 10th faster, 10.5 faster than Jim Caudell currently. Now it's down to 6 as we're coming to 3 to go. They found something here. Now it's about a 0.5 tenth faster still. They found something here late. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. We're at 2 to go. Only about a half tenth or so. I mean, you can see the gap visually getting smaller. I think if DK didn't have that oops there, maybe about 20 laps back or so, he'd probably be right on him. As we're on the final lap, David Krikorian's trying everything that he can. It's not going to be enough here tonight, as the guy at second place in points, who won last week, wins again this week for the Canadian Railserve 150 here tonight. The super late models for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. Coming away in second is David Krikorian and Tim Bills, the teammates. Fourth place is Ron Matthews. Rounding out your top 5 is Tyler Price. So congratulations to Jim Caudell Jr. He comes away with another victory here once more here tonight in dominating fashion and leading 60 laps in doing so. David Krikorian and Tim Bills just ran out of time there. They probably would have gave him one hell of a show if we had about 10 more laps. But this is a 150-lap race, not 160. And Jim Caudell Jr. did what he had to do to win the race. And I'll give you a little points update here as well. Jimmy Mullis ended up finishing 7th. Joe Schaefer Jr. doing a little damage control here tonight, finishing 8th. But the points battle is going to be extremely close as both of those guys draw closer to Joe, coming down to the final 3 races of the season. Caudell's going to pull up here to the winner's circle and then do some donuts. Well, Ty, next week we'll be at Five Flag Speedway for the Midwest Power Source 150, and traditionally the posse has ran well there, but I think it's going to be another, you're going to need to be able to get the throttle down there. It's pretty fast track. And, big sweeping turns, so I think the drive off will still be key, but is there anything that you think these guys can take away from here tonight and apply it to Five Flag Speedway?
I'm going to say for the most part that, Jim is probably, sort of like us, probably running the same setup that maybe he even took to Oxford. It seems that you can take an old setup that was really, really good and actually make it work at all these other tracks. But I know I won't be at Five Flags. In fact, I'm hanging up the helmet until they fix the build. So, hey, if you need some help, let me know.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know. We'll be there next week. I won't mind the help at all, as we got Jim Caudell Jr. in there. And we'll let these guys get out of the car. We'll go ahead and get a word with... Let's see if Bills comes over here. Tim Caudell Jr.'s over here. We'll go ahead and grab David Krikorian. Nope, Tim Bills is in here. We'll go ahead and speak with Tim Bills as he came away in third place here tonight with a great third place finish. And sometimes it looked like he even had the fastest car here tonight. Tim, congratulations on your third place victory. It looks like you're mowing through the field. You started last here tonight. Did you have an issue with your qualifying run?
Yeah, we hit the wall coming across the start-finish line, so it just took both of my runs and disqualified him.
Well, you definitely got the hard charger award, if that's for sure, and you had a fast piece here tonight. So did your teammate David Krikorian. As you had, like I said, you had a great run. We're at Five Flags next week. So is there anything that you all learned in the off week that they had last week that really helped y'all out here tonight and maybe can propel you to another great finish next week at Five Flags?
Well, I'm hoping that it translates over to Five Flags. It seems like we getting on to something here, which we had a lot of help this week. Had some help from a couple different guys, and Trevor helped a little bit there, and Bill Martin, and it shows. We ran a lot of laps this week.
Well, yeah, it definitely shows. It's y'all have struggled here a little bit, as has us with T4X and stuff, and it's good to see you all make your way up here, having a great run tonight. Pretty much, if I had to guess, if you started up front or closer to the front, you may have had something here for Jim Caudell Jr. Do you think if you didn't have those incidents in qualifying, you had a race-winning piece?
Well, we never know, do we? You got to stay out of all the wrecks, and I was lucky to be out of the way on all of them, so you never know. I could have been up in the middle of them. DK, he kind of got tangled up and come backwards a little, so I might have been right there with him.
Well, you do have a very solid point. Next week we're at Five Flags Speedway, and we'll look for you there. Before we let you go, is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give before we get you on your way?
Yeah, I got to thank my sponsor, H&H Sign Supply. And want to thank again. I got to thank Bill Martin again here, and all the guys over at Will and Deal. And they really put in a lot of practice this week to get good piece here. And got to thank Matt for everything that he does on this league here.
All right, bud. Well, hopefully we'll be talking to you again next week after the race, and good luck then, okay?
Yep, we'll see you then.
All right. That's our third place finisher here tonight in Tim Bills. We'll go ahead and bring in his teammate here in the 66 Exalta Chevrolet, David Kikorian. DK, you had a great run here tonight, a super strong car. You had one little incident there early on in the race where you got a little bumper tag there by Bill Martin, but you had a fantastic save. Do you think that kind of hurt your tires there, or at least hurt your chances in winning here tonight?
Yeah, with Hello Affairs, maybe a little bit, but probably not that much. We probably just needed to get the rear end a little bit tighter for late in the run.
Well, you and the Will and Dylan Motorsports group definitely had some fast pieces here tonight. You and Tim were catching Jim Caudill there at the very tail end, in the last 10 laps, excuse me. If you think you had about 10 more, you think you could have got around him, or is that pretty much all she had?
I thought it was going to be all she had in those last 10 laps. I think the right rear kind of settled down. We kind of started reeling him back in, but I don't know if we would have been able to clear him. It was really free on exit at the end.
Well, next week we're at Five Flags Speedway for 150 laps for the Midwest Power Source 150. You're strong here tonight for this little high-banked bullring oval. Do you think you can take this piece and go over to Five Flags and have a similar result?
I think so. This is probably the best overall package we've had this season. And what issues we had tonight, we don't need to necessarily throw a kitchen sink at. Now we kind of know what we need.
Well, we'll definitely look forward to seeing you next week. Before we get you on your way, is there any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to Tim and everyone at Wheeling and Dealing. It's been kind of a struggle this season. Late in the season, looks like it's finally actually starting to come back around. Hopefully tonight won't be a fluke.
Well, we'll see next week, and hopefully we'll be talking to you once again, okay?
Okay.
All right. That was David Kikorian, who came away second here tonight. We'll bring in tonight's winner, guy who led 60 laps here tonight, Jim Caudill Jr. Jim, congratulations again on your win here tonight. You led the last 60 laps there. David Kikorian and Tim Bills were coming there late, but you had just enough to come away with the win. Tell us how your race went tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of listening in on their interview there, and I think they kind of stopped short of saying that they were better. But now, for a big part of that last run, they were. Man, I had no intentions of going to the middle. I knew that it would be pretty good, but when David cleared Cam in the 10 car, he was. I mean, I was giving it everything I had, and he was catching me, and he was still in traffic. So I knew I had to try something. So I just kind of made a pass at the top for about 2 laps, and car felt good there, so I just kind of ran it, and it was enough to hold him off. We missed it a little bit this week, and I struggled so much for the last 2 weeks. I would have bought 5th coming in tonight. So it was a good run for us. I mean, this just goes to show you how good these cars are, the setups that Cam and DP and these guys and we're working on. They're really good. So even though we missed it by a little bit tonight, it was good enough to get it done.
Yeah, definitely was that. The Will and Dylan guys definitely found something there, but you came away with the win, and furthermore, you closed the gap on Joe Schaefer Jr. as he came away 8th here tonight. And he got into the early race trouble and made his way back to 8th, so he did a little damage control. But next week we're at Five Flags Speedway, and that points lead is shrinking ever more, so slightly each week, and you keep coming away with top 1 and 2 finishes like you are. You think you can come away with another win next week in Five Flags Speedway and really have it a showdown between you and him those last 2 weeks?
It's so hard to win these races, especially starting. Well, it's hard to win them from anywhere, but starting 10th, it's that much harder. Like I said, I was just, so pleased that we was able to do it tonight on a night that really didn't even think that it was a possibility. So, man, to beat Joe in the points is going to take it's going to take winning races. He's just as capable of anybody coming out next week and being the fastest car. So we've really got to dial our stuff in, be good every week, and just got to race for wins still yet. We're not, you can't really points race just yet. You still got to shoot for wins. So luckily our cars seem to be able to do that, and we're showing some speed. So feel pretty good about it, and we'll see what Five Flags holds. I've not really ran. I know I've gave you this answer about 3 times, but I think I've ran like 5 laps there since I bought the track like 2 or 3 years ago. So we'll just have to kind of see what it holds.
Well, we will definitely see what happens next week. Like I said, this points battle is getting ever so closer as we're winding down to the end of the season. Before we get you on your way, is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give before you go party?
Yeah, man. Got to thank my wife, my mom, my sister, everybody who watched the broadcast tonight. My boss, Chris, tuned in again for C&J Energy Services. Got to thank everybody at the association for working on this car and getting it really, really good. Obviously, we missed it a little bit, but I had a couple different people lead. Tyler was fast all week in practice. Jimmy, he got caught up in some stuff. But again, thank you guys and for doing the broadcast and doing such a good job, and Matt for putting the league on. So I've had a blast, and we'll see how it goes next week.
Yes, sir. Well, congratulations again for your win here tonight for the Canadian Railserve 150 at Southern National Motorsports Park. We'll catch you next week at Five Flags, and maybe we'll be talking to you again when you put it on top box.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. I appreciate it, Derek. You guys have a good night.
Not a problem. You too, man. It was Jim Caudell Jr., tonight's winner here at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. We'll go ahead and bring up the results here tonight. Go through those. Like I said, we spoke to the top 3 guys, and Caudell, Kokorian, and Bills. 4th place with a solid run here tonight, and Letson Laps and Brian Matthews. 5th place was Tyler Price. 6th with another great solid night here tonight, and Keith Medeiros, who won last night, come away with the top 10 here tonight. Last season series champion Jimmy Mullis is 3rd place in the standings, who closed the gap in once again on Joe Schaefer Jr. finishing 7th. There's Joe finishing in 8th after that early incident that put him back to the field, in the back of the field. 9th here with the spot start, Bill Martin. Good run for him in the top 10. Rounding out your top 10 is Brandon Wilkinson. In 11th was Cam Hamilton. 12th was Trev Edwards. 13th, Donald Clark. 14th, Ryan Doucette, coming away with a nice top 15 finish there after having some early trouble that we've seen. 15th was Michael Goddard, who won last night, so congratulations to him. 16th is Samuel Roush. 17th, Chris Canfield. 18th, Adam Jocelyn. 19th, Russell Berry. 20th, Mark Royer. 21st, Jared Boris. 22nd, A.J. Rogers. 23rd, DeWiley Vet. 24th, Russell Charniski. And rounding out your top 25, last but not least, was our Series League admin. Not too sure what happened to him, but he pulled off pretty early. He may have got some trouble there on one of those restarts. We'll go ahead and bring up the series sponsors, give them one last shout out, because without these guys' help, we cannot do what we do here. Sim Marketing Solutions was what you are watching here tonight for the Super Late Model Series. It's an invite-only series, and the only way you can get in here is if you sign up at racesara.com for the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series. Hides Pride Leather and Sheepskin, Midwest Power Source, who is sponsoring next week's race for the Five Flags Speedway Midwest Power Source 150. You can see that live here on SARA TV next week. Callaway Investments Sportsman Series, so it's a street stock series. Race1.us, Canadian Railserve, who sponsored here tonight, so thank you to those guys. The Hub to use sim racing giveaways. Loco Toco Designs, Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and the East-West Modifieds. So that'll pretty much do it for us here tonight at SARA TV. Like I said, join us next week for the Midwest Power Source 150 at Five Flags Speedway, where we'll see if Jim Caudell Jr. can make it 3 in a row. We'll see if Jimmy Mullis can end up putting his name at the top box, or Joe Schaefer Jr. can keep his point lead coming down to these final few weeks, as these top 3 guys are going to be doing battle for the #1 position and the top spot for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. There is money on the line for this. So these guys are going to have to go to work, go to test, and see if they can come away with the victories and the Point Series Championship. That's going to do it for us here tonight. I am your host, Derek Robinson. Producers, Clay Snyder. League admins, Matt Rolfe. This is SARA TV. You all have a good night. We'll see you next week.